Hello, everybody. This is Sandeep, and I have Ravi with me. Hi, Ravi. How are you doing today?
Hi, Sandeep. Great. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Hey, man. Good to hear
Yeah.
from you. And today we're going to cover this thing called alternate education. So Ravi has been doing some research in this field for a long time now, and I wanted to pick his brain today to see what it is, and then why do we need this, and then what all does it consist of? Why do students need such a system? And we're also going to talk about what are the options that we have to pursue this system in from an Indian context. So let's go ahead and dive deep here, Ravi. So can you explain to us what this system that we're calling alternate education today?
See, the present day schooling, as you know, as we call it as conventional education. So the regular schooling has some drawbacks. So, for example, it may be a rote learning or a formatted question and answers. And also the students have to do a lot of compliance to go to school, especially in India. If you see any students going to schools, you see them in an uniform with a tie, with a belt, with flaps,
So it's a
and
pretty
even
formal system.
heavy bags. They almost look like some soldiers going into a battlefield.
That's true.
So this is how the education is. And also, once you enter the school, it is more of crowd management rather than a real taste of giving the taste of real learning. So it is all crammed classrooms, at least 45 to 50 students per class. And also most of the question and answers, they're all formatted. And many times, most of the time, the learning is not in mother tongue. So even many students have the difficulty in understanding. So they tend to mug up the answers. And it is convenient for the teachers also. If the answers are formatted, it is convenient for them to evaluate. So like that, the whole system, the current whole system is more from teacher centric or crowd management centric rather than the child centric. So that's where is the need for an alternative education.
Man, that's a great introduction. This whole thing that you just mentioned, it took me back to my childhood. And you were saying something about the soldiers, and I was just putting myself in those same shoes. And when I started going to school, at least those times, I hated it. I literally hated going to school. And I was going with so many people in the same in the same vehicle. It was like a little auto rickshaw, right? And everybody used to carry these big backpacks. And I was going so slow after I got down off the rickshaw that I really didn't want to go inside the campus at that time. And the moment I got inside the campus, I was just be like, when am I coming out? Because I really hated that system. So that's the reason why I was real super interested in what this alternate system is, so that I could at least go back and see what it offers compared to our traditional system. So thank you for the introduction. I
Especially
appreciate
for
it.
your children, perhaps.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even
Yeah.
us too. I mean, to a certain extent, I mean, we all learn new things every day, and
Yes.
maybe not formally, but we can still apply bits and pieces of this system to our
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
Uh,
Definitely.
so going into that again, I know we covered the introduction here of what this system is. What are the features of this system? And does it have any grades, or how does this thing work?
Yeah, I have just told you the drawbacks of the current conventional education system. So, what is this alternative education? Why at all we need an alternative? So that we have seen, but what will be there in the alternative education that we can see? See, generally, this alternative education, this word is not any magical standard word. So people are using it in different senses. How I will use it is the alternative options that are available to the conventional education. For example, say homeschooling. Nowadays, many parents are preferring homeschooling, not only abroad, but in India also it is picking up pace. Because some parents, homeschooling may not work with all parents. Some parents who are very good in terms of who have a lot of patience, they can go for homeschooling. Means their kid need not go to a regular school, and at home itself they will guide them. And second sort of options we have is, we will send to a regular school, but there will be less homework, very less homework. Even if he doesn't attend for many days or weeks, they may not bother, because the parents will compensate and do the learning at home. So sending the wards to a normal school, which doesn't put much stress on the child, and taking care of them at home, and also sending them or doing some home tuitions, or even encouraging them in their own hobbies or interests. So this kind of hybrid is one approach. And third approach is to join them in a so-called alternative school. Alternative school means it is a typical, it can be mostly it is a boarding school, where it is almost in a nature setting. Means it is almost in a remote place, almost within a forest or a very green kind of surroundings. And then there will be no cramming, and the child can determine his own curriculum, his own pace of learning, and also whatever he's interested in, he'll be encouraged in those fields. For example, let us say music or dance or sport. And also there may be definitely some academic curriculum, but that is not on a very strict basis. They are very flexible about the curriculum. Only 3 or 4 hours, for example, per day will be devoted for academic learning, but the other hours are there for all the sport and other activities. And mainly the students will be doing their own chores, whether it is their cooking, or whether it is their washing their clothes, laundry, or all the dishwashing. Everything the students will be doing on that. There are different varieties in different schools, but this is what basically the alternative schools do.
Okay, great. Looks like there's 3 types of schooling as of right now. One is
Yes,
the
pure homeschooling.
Yep, pure
Second one
homeschooling.
is a regular school with less emphasis on homework and a bit liberal.
Hybrid. Let's call it hybrid.
Plus home, plus guidance at home.
Yeah.
And third, for those parents for whom it is these options are not available, they can probably go for alternative schooling.
Okay, so here's another big question. Now, in this day and age, wherever I look around me, parents are pushing their kids to an extent where it is very difficult for the kid to handle.
Yes.
Even though we tell ourselves that we're not doing that, I see it all the time. I see it all the time that these kids are, literally these kids wake up at 6 a.m. over here in the US. And then school goes on through 3:30. And in most cases, these kids, after they come back from school, they go to some sort of coaching to sharpen up their math and English skills or whatnot. So their days are pretty long, and they're not even 12 years of age. So if one goes through that process, and are we or should somebody be concerned that if we take a less traditional route, then these kids might not make it in life, right? That's it's not me. I'm just
Yes.
voicing some of the concerns that other parents may have.
Yeah. See, our present education system, the regular schooling, is preparing children for a livelihood and not for life. Life is a much bigger thing and a much more important thing than livelihood. But the current day, this competitive world is making children go into a kind of rat race wherein there is constant comparison within the class with your own friends, and competition and the excelling others is what is rewarded at the end of the day. So this is going into almost a very toxic proportions nowadays. So life means what? What is life? So these kind of things, like for example, even basic survival skills or basic communication skills and empathy, and these kind of a variety of qualities are there. And also, I mean, free of fear. Many children, even adults, we have so many fears: fear about future, regrets about the past, or these kind of things. You might have heard about philosophers like Jiddu Krishnamurti, and even great people like Rabindranath Tagore and Bertrand Russell. All these stalwarts, what they have told is, even Osho, in many of his speeches, he mentioned about children and their education. And all these people, they mainly stressed about uh, letting the children go as they are, and prepare them in such a way that they will face any kind of situation in life, rather than getting some salaried job or do some business to make a living. So this is where the whole difference lies: preparing for life and preparing for a livelihood. So the whole discussion boils down to these things.
Very beautiful. Yes, very beautiful. It's very deep too. Actually, it's very deep if you think about these things.
Yes, yes, it is more of philosophical. I mean, it has all, even the parenting also, if you see, we think that we want to mold our child in such a way, but as parents, we are in a particular mold, and we want to mold them in a particular way. So many scholars and the experts in this alternative education, they emphasize on this point also. Don't expect your child to be in such a way, at the same time you don't change. So this won't go at all. So you also have to change, and the family as a whole has to travel the path, alternative path.
Okay, moving on. What are the drawbacks here? I mean, this sounds like too good to be true, right? If everybody kind of does whatever they want, all the kids, that would, I mean, I would have been super elated when I was growing up, and if I were thrown into an education system like this. So, are there any
Yes,
drawbacks to this?
yes, there are definitely some challenges in alternative education also. And in those three options we have seen, for example, pure homeschooling is not really uh, possible for all, because both parents may be working, nobody at home, and so pure homeschooling is very difficult. And also both the parents should be so I mean, they
Involved,
should have a lot of
patience,
awareness,
yeah, and patience too.
patience. Yes, yes, they should have, and then only they can go for homeschooling. And even in the case of regular schools also, once they send their wards to the regular school, the parents have to take extra effort in taking them to the nearest swimming pool for swimming or tennis court. They have to spend their time and energies to do that, to do those extra activities, so that their child, for example, you can say nature walk or any carpentry workshop or any kind of these kind of activities. If they have, if you are aware that they have to learn and they have to get engaged in those things, as parents you have to put definitely some extra effort, and it will cost extra, it will cost also a lot. We have to bear that in mind. And the third option which we talked about is the so-called alternative schools, that is some boarding kind of schools where our children can be put. But there also there are some alternatives, in the sense that especially in India, if you see, these alternative schools are based on some philosophy. For example, say Chittu Krishnamurti's philosophy, there are 6 major schools in different parts of India running based on Chittu Krishnamurti philosophy. And if you see the staff there, there may be some youngsters who are very new in their life also, and they may be experimenting and exploring in their own career. So they may not be having the full depth of the philosophy as Chittu Krishnamurti's. So this is one challenge. So with that kind of environment, how our kids will grow is one question to be asked. And secondly, family itself is a great learning platform, because if the kids are with us in family as parents, and there may be relatives visiting us, there is a neighborhood, and we can take them to our own friends and the rest of the society, whether it is a grocery store or anything. So this kind of interaction won't be there in a boarding school environment. They are a bit isolated from the regular social milieu. So this is one of the challenges. And also boarding schools have, like, for example, nowadays we have substance abuse kind of issues, which are also there in alternative schools. So these are some of the issues we have to see. And also one more deterrent for the parents not able to join in alternative schools is their very cost of education. For example, in India, the alternative schools, their tariff will start anywhere between 2 to 7 lakhs per annum. Even from primary, generally it starts from 4th class, 4th or 5th classes it will start. So up to 12th, means 4th class up to 12th, the fee is almost like this, anywhere between 2 to 2.5 lakhs to, it ranges to 7 to 8 lakhs. So this is not at all affordable for a common man.
Per year.
Even upper middle class people will feel very difficult to join their wards in these kind of schools with this kind of fees. But you may ask, why is this this much of fee? The answer is simple. They have a very high teacher to student ratio, means high number of teachers for a given set of students. For example, in a regular school, 45 to 50 students will be there for each class, means one teacher will be teaching 45 to 50 students. But there, the ratio is 10 or 20. And even primary schools, if you see, it is even 5. That means the schools have to pay a lot. And also their the very area they are maintaining, it may be a forest or a very green surroundings, very huge campuses. So they have to maintain the whole area. So for all these reasons, their cost of maintenance and their cost will itself will be very high. And the number of students are very low. That's why many alternative schools, perhaps, they are using this fee and the fee as a kind of a filter. Whether it is for good or bad, that is what they are forced to do. Otherwise, they can't survive.
Right.
These are all the challenges in these kind of alternative schools, about which the parent should be very much aware of. And
Are the
I
schools in the
tell you,
cities?
yeah,
Are the
yeah,
school
sorry.
is the school in the cities, or primarily they're
Most of these
outskirts?
schools, most of these schools are located much away from cities, and especially in a very green and foresty kind of sylvan surroundings. They are located.
So you have to stay there. You can't come home
They
every
have
day.
to stay there like a, but they are not like a typical boarding schools. See, we have some boarding schools like Ooty in Ooty, or they call Doon schools. There, the education is regular conventional education, but they may have a lot of facilities for sport and extracurricular activities. But and they have a very maybe luxurious kind of setup, like the ACs, and even the dorms may be air conditioned. The classrooms and the dorms may be air conditioned, and they have state of the art auditoriums or sport facilities. But at the end of the day, they're all conventional education. But whatever alternative schools I am telling, it is more of real alternatives. For example, there will be classes and courses in carpentry, and they'll be made to make toys, or even with mud they'll be making so much of art and craft. And there'll be nature walks, and
We're doing one after this. We're going to Arbor Creek Nature Preserve, which is only
yeah, so these kind of activities are much more there in these so-called alternative schools which I am talking about. And one more challenge the parents have to keep in mind is, see, the moment people get educated in these alternative schools, they'll develop a very independent mind. So tomorrow, at the stage of +1 or +2, they will have strong interests. They'll develop strong interests, and they may say, I want to become an artist. I want to take up music as my career. So any parents who wants their children to be a doctor or a engineer, are going to civil service, for them that will be a shock of their life. So the parents have to bear in mind these factors before joining their wards.
Yeah, no, great discussion. Yeah, we're running out of time here, but we'll keep this brief and short, and I'm sure that we'll have more conversations on this topic going forward. And I'm really interested to learn more about this system here. So I'll come back next time to you, and we'll make another podcast that'll cover even more details. Um, and I really like some of the things that you explained about, the three kinds of systems here in India, and how this alternate system will help kids live a life that is free of fear. So that's something that I learned today, and I'm sure there's other.
Yeah, whatever I have just spoken, these are all my personal views, and they
Yeah,
apply mostly to Indian context, because I'm not
exactly.
very conversant with what is happening abroad, especially in the US where you are there.
No, that's a good. This is a good view. Uh, especially from you. You've been involved in public services for a long time, and you see quite a bit of stuff that's happening around you, especially you're in education sector as well. So no, thank you for coming on today and speaking your mind about this. I think this really helps just expose some of the people watching to this alternate education. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and we'll do another one here in the next few weeks. I'll come a little bit more prepared. This time I just wanted to kind of give everybody a taste of what this thing is, because no one really knows it here. I know there's things of, like charter schools and stuff like that, but the stuff that you're talking is just completely different, which is good.
Yeah, just one thing at the end, for any parents who are looking for options of this alternative education in India. One I have already mentioned, that is the 6 schools of Krishnamurti Foundation of India. They call it KFI. So they have schools in Chennai, Bangalore, Pune, and Rajghat, that is near Varanasi. So, and there are several other schools near Bangalore and even Coimbatore and many other places in India, which are inspired by philosophies like of philosophers like Jiddu Krishnamurti and Tagore and all. So the parents have to really check their websites, and they have to make inquiries. What are all these alternative schools in their vicinity or in their state, so that they can join, and the accessibility and the proximity to home is also very much important.
Man, that's good information here. And like I said, let's do another one maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and maybe we'll see about how to cut cost and maybe start one. We'll see. We'll see. What happens.
Yes.
All right, buddy. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you.